What dream was so scary that you still remember it? Creature living in my basement. It's nothing I've ever seen before in any horror movie or story, and every time I think about it I get chills. I feel you on the basement setting. For me, I walk into my dimly lit basement and it's completely empty, except a little girl who is sitting on the floor in the corner with her back to me. I walk over to her and bend down to speak to her. As I reach out to touch her shoulder, she whips her head around and she is possessed like a demon, screaming and lurching out towards Mel. Think The Exorcist. I grew up in an Irish Catholic family and that movie frightened me as a kid despite being a super old movie. Makes my skin crawl to think about it even today, despite having the dream as a child 20 years ago. I was having a birthday party. All the guests went in my basement and never came back. Then my mom said she ate them. Then she tried to eat my leg. Scared the hell out of me when I had it. Now it just seems kinda weird. I remember once in my dream, a sinkhole was rapidly getting bigger and bigger, and the depth, don't ask. I was being stabbed, and when I woke up the exact parts were numb. I had a dream recently that my mother held me down while my father pushed a pair of scissors into my eye. Similar thing happened to me in a dream. When I was around 12, I had a dream where I ended up getting married to the girl who always picked on me throughout middle school. I honestly didn't know what to make of it, and it was definitely a scary thought back then. My 3-year-old son falling down and breaking his neck right in front of me. I still remember the blood-curdling scream. When I was about 11, I had a dream that a really short blue man with an assault rifle was outside my door waiting for me to walk out so he could shoot me. I still remember exactly what he looks like and the outfit he was wearing. Being stalked through a supermarket by skinless sheep. It was a lot scarier than it sounds. At least to 8-year-old me. Skinless sheep stalking you sounds ducking terrifying. I have sleep paralysis at least few times per month, and usually I see/feel some evil dark faceless creature sitting on my chest or legs while I'm helpless and paralyzed. It happened so many times. Yeah, I'd think my brain would maybe learn something and remember it's not a real thing, but nah, it's terrifying every single time. This happened me, and by the third time I kind of just looked at the creature like, what? I have recurring dreams about lightning that keeps striking really close, like 5 feet from me, and the bottom of the clouds are so low I can reach up and touch them. Also, I have a lot of dreams about the toilet getting clogged and overflowing. Standing in the middle of an airport, I see a black luggage sitting a few feet away from me when all of a sudden, I see it being unzipped by something inside. Swarming out and running after me came naked Barbies wanting to kill me. I was 6 years old when I dreamt this. Sorry, but I couldn't help from laughing when I heard the naked Barbie part. For some reason I still remember a dream I had when I was 6. I dreamt that I got stuck in our building's elevator and the lights went off. It was terrifying, probably cause I'm very claustrophobic, but yeah, I always had that fear. I wouldn't even go in an elevator for a few years after developing the fear. I got myself used to elevators, but honestly, if I were ever in an elevator that broke down, I would pass out. I was cursed by God for speaking the Sabbath word, which resulted in a flaming seagull dive bombing my house and landing near our gas furnace, where it could cause the whole house to explode. It also resulted in my first experience with sleep paralysis. I'm really sorry, but this one made me lol. Must have been really traumatic for you to remember all those details. Yeah, it's alright. It was a lot scarier than it sounds. Basically, I was just looking out the window. Then out of nowhere a bird fell out of the sky on fire and crashed into the house. It was a combination of a jump scare and an actual sense of danger. All of my family was fused with my wall and a mummy tried grabbing me to put me in the wall. I was like 4. For the first part of the dream I'm a kitten and I'm floating, kind of little drifting, through a 70s style home, passing from room to room. Slow pace, lots of orange and rust colors, plastic on the couches. Suddenly, I realize I'm being carried in a sealed plastic bag and I cannot breathe. Then, I wake up. That's some fourth dimensional Matrix type shit. I was sitting on the commode, and a snake came and bit me in the back, took me into the drains, and ate me alive. I was 6 years maybe, and I dreamed that faces came out of my wall IDKY after that I slept 1 year next to my mom. I was disturbed as fuck. OMG, your post triggered a memory from my childhood where I had the same dream. My grandparents passed away years ago. Last year I had a dream that they came over for Easter like they normally did. And I said, "I'm so happy to see you. I thought you two were dead." They stared at me and just said, "We are dead." They then tried to caress my cheek, but it felt cold, and then they crumbled. A giant doll chasing me like the ones in Chucky. One of my giant stuffed toy was possessed and chasing me and my mom down the terrace. I was so terrified after that I got rid of all my stuffed toys after that. I dreamed that my younger sister got kidnapped when I went inside the house to get something. I remember barely getting to the kitchen when I heard her scream bloody murder outside. I ran out as fast as I could and saw a car speeding away, and I remember screaming her name and running to try and catch up, but I fell and I woke up screaming her name. It scared me so bad that I didn't let her out of my sight for months. I still worry she could just straight up get taken away by who knows what. Yeah, I have a little sister and I do the same. Usually the ones where I'm in a school shooter situation. Hate those dreams, but I seem to get them once every few months. I hate those because once a kid came to school with a rifle in his backpack. He was expelled, but it was scary as shit. Once there was a rumor that a rival school's gang was gonna come shoot up our school. Bunch of kids didn't come to school that day and we had extra cops at all the doors. Nothing ever happened, but everyone was on edge all day. My sister pushing me of a 16th floor window. Recurring dream of an angry mob outside of my house. It ends differently. Sometimes they bust in and I have to hide. Sometimes there's fire or they are dragging me. Just a feeling of dread and fear. When I was younger I often dreamt that a tornado was heading towards our house. And other times I saw planes dropping bombs on our city. I always woke up before the disaster happened, but the fear and realizing I can't do anything other than watch was terrifying. Oh, I have a few. Pretty vivid too. One was standing on a high-rise looking out at the city, and then one by one the buildings in front of me started falling sideways. First from afar, then drawing closer, and there was no time to leave. Just watch and wait. Another one was an ogre or some huge creature chasing me. I got to a room and locked the door and was relieved to escape. Guess what? Huge room. There was a second door on the other side. Even another one was this weird spiky ball that zapped electricity going around the city, taking people out. Of course I'm on the streets for some reason. I used to have a recurring nightmare about being in a shrinking box that gave acupuncture as it got smaller. At Tsunami right as I woke up, the realest dream I have ever had besides the dream of the T-Rex chasing me. Zombies. And not being able to run from them. This has followed me since childhood, and I still get nightmares about them. Weirdly though, I love watching and reading about them, but they do terrify me. I like to think of it as facing my fear. I couldn't have been older than 5 at the time. I dreamt that I woke up in my room. I heard voices whispering my name. So I followed the voices down the C-shaped corridor to my parents' room, where there were 2 shapes in the bed, which I assumed were my parents. I didn't know I was dreaming at this point, but the covers slid themselves off, and under the covers, turning slowly to look at me, were these 2 featureless porcelain figures, reaching out to grab me. At this point I woke up. Not even that scary, but I was 8 at the time and still remember the dream relatively clearly. We are out exploring somewhere. I think it was a rainforest of some sort. We reach a clearing. One member of our group, a woman, is searching for something in the clearing when, out of nowhere, a huge snake, must have been an anaconda, jumps and bites her in the chest. I woke up screaming and in a cold sweat right before it struck. It was a perfectly normal dream. I was basically just going about my day. In my dream I was laying in my bed watching TV and all of a sudden this figure walked past my door. For some reason in my dream I basically ignored it. Then it came again, and this time it stopped at my doorway still standing sideways. It turned its head to reveal a face that had no eyes and a blood-covered bandage over its mouth. Smiling underneath. It started to move towards me, and that's when I woke, shooting straight up, and let out a yell. I woke up my girlfriend, because apparently I was sweating making groaning noises. I don't know why it freaked me out so badly, but I genuinely worry about dreaming of that person again. I was probably around 10 to 12 when I had this dream. There was a large lake which was full of killer whales and sharks. Can't remember the pretense as to why I was there or why there were these animals in a lake. I fell in the water and was bitten on the stomach by one of the sharks. I woke up straight away feeling the imprint on my stomach. No pain or anything. Just the feeling of jaws having bitten across my stomach. Thinking back it was probably just cramps perfectly timed with a weird dream. I was in a forest alone and I saw a cottage that's shaped like a mushroom. It looked scary and abandoned, but each time I enter the cottage, I woke up. It's a recurring dream I had for years. Teenage Ninja Turtle. So, when I was little I had a dream that a Ninja Turtle kidnapped a member of my family every damn night, and I still remember it to this day, and it scared me for life. My worst nightmare, that would be when I dreamt that my clothes had pairs of eyes in them, and those eyes were following me. I really don't like being watched by a lot of people, so this freaked me out so much I woke up, only to realize that I was in my couch, but everything in the room had the same eyes as the clothes. I woke up screaming. Couple of nuns tied me on a kite during a thunderstorm. That was hell scary. Honey, I literally just strunk the kids, not a real dream, but that would be scary if it did. The ducking FBI beat my bedroom door and shot me in the head in a total of 5 seconds. Like, the door fell over and bam, dead. Happened years ago. IDK why it scared me so much. Zombie apocalypse, but zombies run fast as duck while I, who's been using all the strength I have in my feet, moves for like inches per hour. Attacking them felt like a tiny mosquito trying to slap an elephant. Except you're the mosquito. I was in some kind of custody and they were going to kill me, like capital punishment, and my family wanted to help me, but they couldn't do anything. I generally don't get dreams much, but once I dreamed about a bleak place where the sky is dark with little red smeared all over it, and Batman is kneeling crying, and some smoke demon shoves a huge blade down his throat. Imagine the Ewok houses in Star Wars. Well then imagine a little Red Riding Hood wolf asking you to come down and following you from below. I was in the bathroom taking a piss when my dick started to dissolve and maggots were on the inside, just falling to the ground with all the dissolved bits. Probably had that dream over 10 years ago. My dad never existing and my stepdad being my birth dad. Everyone around me dying because of me. A Neurongutan in our staircase killing my 2 older brothers, then crushing me against the wall, and then I woke up. Was 7. At age 7 or 8 I, religious upbringing, had a recurring dream of being strapped to a conveyor belt in the jungle by wood mask wearing native tribes people, and the belt went into a scorching hot fire pit I was convinced was hell. Would always wake up screaming. It seems ridiculous now. When I was 13 years old, I once had a dream where someone just torn my chest and pulled out my heart violently. I can feel the pain and it's hurt so much that it woke me up in the middle of the night. It is 3:00 AM in the morning. I can't sleep after that because my chest hurt so much. It felt like someone punched my chest very hard. It wasn't so much the content of the dream that was interesting, but I recall a dream I had when I was around 7 where I was hiding. Terrified someone was trying to find me, but knew I was dreaming and couldn't wake up. Like I knew for a fact I was asleep, but nothing I did helped. I tried closing and opening my eyes repeatedly. Nothing. It felt like hours of trying everything I could think of to wake up before I suddenly jolted awake. I was extremely exhausted and still remember that experience vividly. I was pulling on this piece of wood on this fence and then the fence started falling and I tried to run but tripped and the fence was on top of me and I scraped my face on the sidewalk. I've seen this certain island covered half with water where I'm talking to people. It's not scary but strange that I've had the same dream thrice and I've seen the people in this / those dreams before. It's the same plot, the same dialogue, over and over. Was in a car, a giant white rat with red eyes chasing me and lifting the car and look inside. I'd had a dream where I walked out of my room to tell my parents I heard crawling in my walls. But as soon as I got out a giant spider jumped out of the wall and pinned me down. For 5 minutes straight it was just staring at me, then I woke up. Nothing supernatural. I just got shot. The whole dream I was laying there, slowly bleeding out. I woke up gasping for air. Since that dream I'm afraid of dying. Being chased by Candace from Phineas and Ferb. Yeah, I don't really know why I found it so terrifying. Grew up swimming competitively for 14 years. I've been caught in undertow and riptides and been pummeled by waves and never really flinched at the thought of drowning. Had a dream that I jumped in a river while I was on a hike. My friends and an undertow caught me and kept pulling me straight down into the darkness, and then I woke up. I'm not sure why it stuck with me or how to describe the feeling I still get when I think of it, but I'll never forget it. Being chased by deformed mannequins with piercing white eyes. They shambled toward me at a rapid pace and would repeat the phrase "don't run" and were your friends. When they got you, you were dismembered into mannequins' parts. It was vivid. I had been visiting the crypt in an ancient cathedral and got locked in with no way out. There were no lights, just the flicker of a few candles amidst hundreds of entombed bodies. I was really young at the time, 5 to 7 years old. In the dream I was a poison frog and a princess was chasing me trying to kiss me in order to make me a prince. I ran so she wouldn't die. Back then I thought it meant I'm very selfless. Now I realize I'm just scared of intimacy. Witnessing the murder of my family. I had 2 recurring nightmares as a child. First was a volcano spewing lava and melting everything, and the second was me going home on an elevator and the elevator would just keep going up after our top floor, speeding up constantly. I was swerving off the road and crashed my car into a ditch with all my family inside. I just remember the flames rushing toward me and the ear-piercing screech of scraping metal. When I was 4, I had a dream that a T-Rex destroyed a house. It was terrifying as a small child. Pick the one where a streamer plays a game but fades out, only to be replaced with a voice threatening me. The clown that dragged into a closet. The shadow that played with me like a demonic mass of shadows and hands chasing me in my old high school. The mole crab. The one where I get eaten by a giant worm. I was watching some YouTuber and he got jumpscared by someone with a mask and a chainsaw in a game. Of course, I got so scared that I jumped out of bed, looked around myself, and slept in horror. The funny thing is, when it was morning I was laughing at myself like how silly I was at night. Hahaha. It isn't funny ducking demons. I had a dream where my entire family was over at my house and suddenly SCP-096 shows up and my family gets killed brutally. For some reason I survived, but I ended up waking up after that. I think that's enough playing SCP Containment Breach and Secret Laboratory for a while. Running away from a dinosaur terrorizing my house. Sounds dumb, but holy duck, I woke up in a cold sweat. I just remember it vividly. It was something about being chased throughout my school corridors in an often desolated wing by my favorite toy tank when I was about 7 or 8 years old. Don't remember much about it, but the memory still gives me shivers if I think about it while going to bed. Apparently, a lot of rumors regarding seeing real ghosts in schools were going on in school at that time, and that's probably what triggered the dream. I was in a house. The rat guy from Harry Potter and Pennywise were merged and then hung me. Large mushroom cloud on the horizon. Then the wind picks up. I had a dream that Machine Gun Kelly was getting my League account demoted on purpose, and I couldn't move out of bed. Also, sleep paralysis was kicking in. In my dream, I'm at my campground walking around the pond. There's no sound, like the world was on mute. That is until the tornado siren goes off. The campground is empty, and I don't run for shelter. I just stare as the tornado approaches. It's probably not the most terrifying thing, but considering I was petrified of tornadoes at the time. Close bracket. Definitely getting possessed 3 different times. Running around the outside of a school from a giant T-Rex. Being inside a dome with a T-Rex that always knew where I was hiding. Walking across a sketchy bridge that had giant ducking snakes and crocodiles. I fell and saw them. Also giant trolls and aliens. I only remember fighting zombies with the Walking Dead cast with ray guns from the COD zombies. I had the same recurring nightmare as a kid, accidentally opening a secret chamber that had a live T-Rex in it, followed by fleeing through the nearby village to a church to try to escape it, and hiding under a pillow at the top of somewhere pyramid-ace thing. I usually woke up right as the dinosaur knows the pillow off me. Haven't had it in almost 15 years. But I still remember how terrified I woke up every time I did have the nightmare. Woke up. Got out of bed. Went to go downstairs. Look up. Entire ceiling has been replaced by black void with a gigantic spider peering down at me. Like, Elder God big. It presses its head to mine. And then I actually wake up and don't sleep the rest of the night. A dimly lit room with a ramp and a door. Trying to climb over a tall gate to get away from a decrepit old creepy woman who manages to catch me, pin me against a hedge with some strange power as burnt arms wrap around me and pull me into the hedge as darkness envelops me and I wake up in a shiver. Had this night twice in my life so far. One at 8 and the other at 20. I'm now 23 and it still terrifies me. I've gotten over all my nightmares, but the one and only time I ever had sleep paralysis was pretty damn scary cause I literally thought someone was moving around in my hallway and my door was open. Unfortunately, when I woke up for real that time, that evil presence never went away. I was woken up by my mother bawling and crying, and it didn't take me a second to realize what had happened. My great grandmother lost her battle to kidney failure and age. That's one nightmare I never woke up from. I was in Minecraft and the music stopped. I panicked and ran for my life. I came across a naked sheep with scars everywhere and a witch with a glass bottle in her eye. I ran into Herobrine and woke up. It sounds stupid, but I had a dream that I was swimming in my parents' pool when I was a kid and it was nighttime. We have fiber optic lights in the pool that change colors. I was swimming in the deep end when I looked down and one of those deep sea fangly fish looking things was swimming up and trying to bite me. As a kid it scared me, but as an adult it sounds stupid. I had a dream as a child where I was being chased by a peacock-like bird that would run fast but would never fly. When I went into buildings to hide, I could see through the windows that it was waiting outside for me to come out. I've been afraid of birds that run around ever since. Getting my ass beat by 4 of my clones. I looked at the moon through a telescope and saw it slowly getting bigger. Everything went black and I heard a crash. Only thing I can remember is having my head struck repeatedly with a ducking pickaxe while being pinned down. Worst of all was I could very faintly feel the pain. Not enough to wake me up, but I could feel it. I have recurring night terrors about insects. Spiders and similar creepy crawlers burrowing their way into or out of my skin or various orifices. I should probably get sorted out, but mental health services aren't very accessible for low income people in my country, unfortunately. I was in the living room with my parents. My dad jumped up on a chair. Chair tipped over. Dad broke his neck and started making lots of incredibly scary and disturbing sounds. I rarely think about it, but I still remember it. Duck that dream. I only remember this. I was looking at a book and I saw an eyeless face titled Around the Corner. I've started making lore about this around the corner. Till I was about 5. I used to dream every night about a pair of weird monster eyes looking at me through my window while I was asleep. Sometimes he would try and reach me with his hands, but I always woke up before he did. One day I woke up and my window was broken. The dreams only stopped once we moved. A killer doll with needles both ways through its lip would chase me around wherever I went, trying to kill me, and would kill anyone in its way. My teeth shattering, and there being nothing I could do about it. I'm a very old man living in a cabin in the middle of the woods. Some major event has wiped out most of the population. No law and order. Under my care is a very young girl, about 6 years old. I watch her pick flowers and think to myself, please God, keep me alive long enough so I can protect her till she can live on her own. This happened a few months ago, but I had a dream I was still living with my aunt and uncle, and my uncle was watching TV, and I got his attention for something, and when his head turned, his face twisted into the most gnarled, hateful expression I've seen. Like something about that dream was so eerie and disturbing I almost wanted to cry. 1. I remember that I crashed my car and it got totally destroyed. I could see my dead body next to the car and my family crying at the accident. 2. I died in my sleep and I talked to death. The monster that has no eyes on its face, but instead on its hands from the movie Pan Labyrinth. I dreamt that it was eating me alive, and I couldn't do anything. If you don't know what monster I'm talking about, I suggest you search for it, but it might give you nightmares though. That a guy from my youth group raped me. I was 16 at the time. It shook me up for days. It was Inception, but I was running from a murderer. At least 3 times I thought I woke up in my bed and wasn't sleeping anymore, only to have the guy come try to murder me again. It was terrifying and seemed so realistic. The first time I actually died in a dream, and afterwards the monster that killed me walked me through my room acting all kind, as if it didn't ducking just kill me. Getting eaten alive by a ginormous snake and feeling its venom seep into my pores. Waking up tingly was very uncomfortable. I dreamt I was wasting my life answering dumb askreddit question. But it was all just a horrible nightmare, or was it? Some guys chased me. I did go down to Tess Evers, then peppers and boilers surrounded me. Don't ask how I got this dream. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.